On my trips back to my island, Grenada, we indulge in the very many traditional, old school, natural type of living and activities that we were a part of growing up. Although things have changed and times have passed, we are still privileged to be able to still partake in this traditional type of lifestyle every time we visit. Now, this here is a calabash tree, and this is a type of gourd, and in Grenada we call it a boli tree. The fruits have a hard shell, very hard shell, and it's used to make kitchen utensils and also a source of income for crafters. And with their skills, turns them into beautiful traditional accent purses. Now, in some traditions, the inside of these gourds are used as traditional medicine, and I want you to do your research on that. But this one has dropped from the tree, so we're going to see what good we can make of this so that way it does not go to waste. We're also going to be collecting some of the trees, and right here you can see where one of them have dropped off and the shell remains. So it's a really hard shell and it's still intact, well, except for the parts that may have hit the ground on the way down. But this is going to go back to the soil because at this point it's just useless. All right, so now we will process these gourds, or calabash as we would call it. Hubby is now opening it up with a saw, and you would see what the inside looks like. We already have a couple that we opened up, and we also do have a couple different sizes and a couple different varieties, so you'll get an inside look and a pretty good idea of how this is done. All right, so now hubby is going to tongue, and he's got to be really careful, making sure that the saw does not slip and hurt his hand. All right, so here comes my part, and I'm going to scoop out all this mush that's in here. So this is what the inside of the gourd looks like. So this is going to be scooped out. In some traditions, this is used for its medicinal benefits. I've seen my mom used it on our sheep when we were raising sheep growing up. She would use it when they would come down with minge, and it would actually help. And so I believe it does have some external healing properties. I'm not exactly certain about using this internally, but I have seen in some cultures, like I mentioned previously, that they consume it. So if you're interested and curious enough, you would look it up yourself and do your own research. All right, so this is one of the bowls that I have already scraped out, or almost done scraping out. So you got to get all this stuff out. And I like the size of it. It really makes for a nice little soup bowl. So I'm just going to check it to see if there's any crack or blemishes that I may have missed in choosing these. But it seems fine, so it can hold liquid. We're going to be removing this little stem here at the top. But this is pretty much it. Now on to the next, because I want a few of these, and cleaning this out seems a bit tedious and it's messy. I don't have any gloves on. It's really mushy and wet and soggy in there, but I'm plucking away as best as I can. Yep, I had to smell it. I need that memory. And if you were to eat this, if it's edible, you would have to definitely develop a palate for this, because I'm telling you, it smells really bad. It's unpleasant, but I have and I do eat what some people may call unpleasantly smelling and tasting things, especially if it's for health reasons. So I've definitely developed a palate and a tolerance for those types of things that I'm used to from such a young age. This one, it just hits different. All right, so I finally made it, and these are my 6 large size bowls. And as you can see, this is a different variety here, and when I cut it open, you're probably going to be surprised. So let's cut this smaller variety open and see what the inside looks like. Hubby's going to cut down the side of it based on how I want it to sit as a bowl. This one's a little more difficult because it's so much smaller, so he's got to be really, really careful with this. And let's cut this open and see what it looks like. And we ought to be so much more appreciative of nature, because nature is so giving. It's given us so much. And still, continue to do so in its most natural and purest form. I'm telling you, this one is giving such a fight, and hubby's been turning it back and forth just to make sure he stays right on the line where he started, to make sure it comes out nice and straight. So we want to make sure that it sits right on a flat surface when the contents are in that bowl. And you know, I appreciate the crafters more so because it's a lot of tedious hard work for them to be so crafty in creating such beautiful pieces. Wait for it, here it comes. Yep, this one is black on the inside. As you can see, the contents have a different color, a different texture, a different scent. And as for the size, this is the biggest that they would ever get to. Also, the shell of the bigger one is thinner and the shell of the smaller one is much thicker. So I'm going to scoop this out. And I'm thinking I should be wearing gloves with this because it's black. I'm not sure if it's going to stay in my hand. But we're going to scoop this out. And it comes out pretty easy. Much easier than the bigger variety. These are definitely some kitchenwares that are definitely going to have some mileage on it. Why? Because it's more appreciated when you do it yourself. When you go through the entire process from start to finish and you put in all the hard work, making it your own personal journey and your own personal experience. How incredible it is growing up seeing this and still at my age have the opportunity to do this after all these years have passed. Now here's a purse that I was telling you earlier in the video that's been made with this gourd or calabash. See this? Other natural materials were put together with this. As you can see, this is genuine leather. And we have a purse. A really cute little crafty side purse, which you can purchase as a souvenir. And of course, I have my calabash in my cabinet. And let me tell you, they do have some mileage on them. This is all for now. I hope you enjoyed this video. And as always, thank you for watching, and I'll see you on the next upload.